I state your name.
I, Madeleine Corbell Albright.
Do solemnly
When
swear.
Madeleine Albright was nominated by President Bill Clinton to serve as America's top diplomat in 1996, she became the highest-ranking woman in the history of the U.S. government. In her 4 years in the position, she led a U.S. response to the war in the Balkans and faced a nuclear-armed North Korea and rising extremism in the Middle East. She died Wednesday surrounded by her family after a battle with cancer. Tributes poured in from around the world for the woman known simply as Madam Secretary.
She was a trailblazer and a luminary, and she was the first woman to serve as Secretary of State. She left an indelible mark on the world and on the United Nations. Our country and our United Nations are stronger for her service.
Albright's life was shaped by the worst of humanity. Born in Prague, Czechoslovakia in 1937, her family fled after the Nazis occupied the country in 1939. She later discovered that she had lost 3 grandparents to the Holocaust.
They got my grandmother to bring me into Prague, and everybody just had one suitcase, and they got on a train to get out. And as she said, that was the last time they ever saw any members of their family.
Albright's family came to the United States as refugees. They settled in Denver, Colorado, where her father became Dean of the School of International Relations at the University of Denver. A star student, Albright went on to study at Wellesley College before moving on to graduate school at Columbia University, where she met Zbigniew Brzezinski, who became National Security Advisor under President Jimmy Carter and brought Albright to work in the White House. Under Clinton, she served first as the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations before becoming Secretary of State. Albright said perhaps her greatest challenge during this time was the war in Kosovo, which threatened to engulf the entire region in 1998.
For the Balkans, this escalating violence is the road back to hell. Unless stopped, tensions will flow out of control. The results could be a full-fledged civil war, putting at risk the peace in Bosnia and spreading conflict like an infectious disease to neighboring states.
A NATO military campaign that drove out occupying Serbian forces led to a peace that holds to this day. Albright said she saw the moment as a success professionally.
What I'm really proudest of is what we did in Kosovo. I was very concerned about what was happening in the Balkans, and I really found it very difficult to watch when people were being killed for what they were, what religion they were, rather than anything that they had done. And to be in a position to have something to do with the United States making a difference there is what I think was very, very important. And the people of Kosovo, now it's an independent country, and there's a whole generation of little girls whose first name is Madeleine.
Her diplomacy took her around the world, seeing the AIDS crisis in Africa and meeting face-to-face with Kim Jong-il in North Korea. President Joe Biden remembered her as a tireless fighter for refugees fleeing danger and for American values. In a statement after her death, Biden said America had no more committed champion of democracy and human rights than Secretary Albright, who knew personally and wrote powerfully of the perils of autocracy. Albright spoke often about her experience as a woman breaking through the glass ceiling. When she first became Secretary of State, some questioned whether she would be respected by male heads of state. Later in life, she encouraged younger women to keep pushing for equality.
We can tell our story about how we climbed the ladder, and a lot of you younger women don't think you have to, it's been done. It's not done.
Biden has ordered flags flown at half-staff at U.S. public buildings, embassies, and military posts as the country remembers Albright. Salem Solomon, VOA News, Washington.